Ethan Gray leaned over the control panel, his hands moving quickly but carefully. The research station floated quietly above a small blue planet, far from the busy trade routes of the galaxy. For months, he had worked here alone, studying the faint signals that came from the deep space beyond known systems. Space was calm now. Too calm. And that made him uneasy. Something always happened when the universe was too quiet. A sudden alarm broke the silence. Ethan straightened up and looked at the main screen. A small pod was drifting near the edge of the station's orbit. Its markings were old, almost erased. But something about it made his chest tighten. Without waiting, he activated the retrieval beam and moved toward the pod in his small shuttle. When he reached it, the pod was dented and scratched, floating silently. Inside, he could see movement, but it was faint. Carefully, he opened the hatch. A figure lay slumped in the corner. It was a woman, but unlike anyone he had ever seen, her skin had a soft glow, a pale lavender shade that shimmered in the dim lights of the pod. Her hair flowed like silver threads, and her eyes, though closed, seemed too large and too bright to belong to a human. He lifted her gently and carried her back to his shuttle. The moment she opened her eyes, she gasped and pulled back slightly, her voice trembling. "Please, do not touch me," she whispered. Ethan froze. Her voice was musical, but edged with fear. "It's okay. I'm here to help," he said calmly, trying to make her feel safe. "You're hurt. Let me take care of you." She shook her head, tears forming in her glowing eyes. "No, you don't understand. If you get close, danger will come. Please, stay away." Ethan frowned. He had faced dangerous situations before, but there was something different about this woman, something that made him want to protect her no matter what. "I can't just leave you here," he said softly. "Who would help you if I didn't?" For a moment, she seemed to hesitate. Then she closed her eyes and whispered again, almost to herself, "Please, human, don't love me." Ethan tilted his head, surprised. "Love? We just met. I don't even know your name." "I am Leora," she said quietly. "Princess Leora. My people, they have cursed me. Anyone who comes close will be marked by danger. I cannot let you risk yourself." The word princess made Ethan blink. He had read stories about royal families in human history, but he had never met one from another world. Yet, he could feel the truth in her tone. She was not lying. Fear clung to her like a shadow. "I'm not afraid," he said simply. "I don't care about curses. You are hurt, and I will help you. That is all that matters to me right now." Leora's eyes widened, and for a moment, he saw her disbelief. Humans were known across the galaxy as fragile, emotional creatures. Her people often mocked them for their simplicity, but here was one, standing before her, offering help without hesitation. I cannot stay long with you," she said, her voice trembling. "The curse, it follows me. The moment someone cares for me, they will be hunted. You should leave." Ethan shook his head. "I don't leave people behind. That is not who I am." Her lips quivered. She wanted to say more, to beg him, to warn him further, but the words caught in her throat. She studied him for a long moment, searching his face. There was no fear, no hesitation, only determination. Finally, she whispered, almost inaudibly, "You do not understand, human. The universe does not want you near me. Love. It is a dangerous thing for someone like me." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then we will face it together. You are not alone." She looked away, trying to hide the tears forming at the corners of her eyes. He could see the conflict inside her. She wanted connection, wanted comfort, but the shadow of her curse pressed down on her like a heavy weight. By the time they reached the station, Ethan had secured her in the medical bay. He cleaned her wounds and applied the basic healing gel that humans used for space injuries. Leora flinched at every touch, whispering warnings and trying to pull away. But Ethan was patient. He never forced her. He spoke to her softly, telling her stories of the planets he had visited, the strange creatures he had seen, and the vast emptiness of space. Little by little, Leora began to relax. She would still whisper warnings, telling him to leave, telling him he should not care. But he only smiled and continued helping her. Her people had taught her to be cautious, to trust no one. But Ethan's presence was different. There was no judgment, no hidden motive, just quiet care. Night came on the station, though night was only a dim cycle of lights. Ethan sat by her side, watching her sleep. Her breathing was calm now, and she no longer trembled at his proximity. He realized he had never met anyone so alone in the galaxy. She had everything her title could offer, but freedom, safety, and trust were foreign to her. The next day, Leora awoke to find Ethan repairing the station's external shields. "You should rest," she said softly, though her voice held a fragile strength. "You cannot stay here caring for me if you do not take care of yourself." Ethan laughed lightly. "I'll manage. You focus on recovering. That is your job." She frowned, trying not to show the relief she felt. Humans were strange creatures. So simple, yet so brave. She did not want to grow attached, but something in his presence made her heart beat faster. She had never felt this way before. Fear, yes, but also warmth, a small hope that someone could care for her without judgment. Days passed, and Ethan taught her small things about human life. She was curious, but careful, asking questions about Earth, about humanity, about friendship and loyalty. Ethan answered patiently, never rushing her, never asking for anything in return. One evening, as the two watched the stars from the observation deck, Leora's voice broke the quiet. "Ethan, why do you care for me so much? You barely know me. My life, my curse, it is dangerous. I should not even be talking to you like this." Ethan turned to her, his eyes calm and firm. "Because I see you, Leora. Not just the princess or the curse, but you. I see your courage, your fear, your kindness. You are worth caring for, no matter what." She looked away, tears threatening again. I wish I could believe that. But the universe, it has never been kind to me. Love, friendship, it always ends in pain. I do not want you to be hurt." Ethan stepped closer. "Then we face it together. You do not have to carry this alone. The universe may try to tear us apart, but I will not abandon you. I will not let the curse decide your fate alone." For a long time, Leora said nothing. Then she whispered, barely audible, "Please, human, don't love me." Ethan shook his head with a small smile. "I can't listen to that. Not when it matters this much. You are important to me. That is enough reason." Her eyes widened, and she turned away, trying to hide the emotions that bubbled inside. She had wanted to be alone, to keep her life simple and cautious. But this human with nothing but his courage and his heart was changing something inside her she had never felt before. Over the next few days, Ethan continued his work, repairing the station while Leora regained her strength. They moved through small routines, meals, basic exercises, and studying the stars. Slowly, she began to talk more freely, though always cautiously. She laughed sometimes, a sound so soft and musical that it made Ethan smile every time he heard it. But always, when the moment grew too close, she would whisper her warning again. "Do not love me," she would murmur. "I bring danger, Ethan. I cannot give you a normal life." And every time, Ethan would shake his head. "I never said anything about normal. I just want to be here. That is enough." The stars outside twinkled quietly, as if watching the beginning of something new. In that small research station, far from the known galaxy, A human and a cursed alien princess began to form a bond that neither of them could have predicted. Fear was there, yes, and danger waited beyond the station walls. But so was hope, and for the first time in a long time, Princess Leora allowed herself to feel something fragile and human. Trust. The stars outside the station were calm. But inside, tension filled the air. Leora had been resting for several days, her wounds healing slowly. Ethan moved quietly around the medical bay, checking supplies and repairing broken instruments. He noticed how careful she was, always keeping a small distance, always alert, as if the walls themselves might hide a threat. One evening, as Ethan was reviewing star charts, Leora spoke softly. "Ethan, I need to tell you more. About the curse, and the danger that follows me." Greatly, Ethan looked up, giving her his full attention. "I'm listening. Tell me everything." She took a deep breath, the soft glow of her skin flickering in the dim light. "My family, my bloodline, it carries a curse. Long ago, a rival empire tried to destroy us. A powerful being, the Void Herald, placed a mark on my ancestors. Anyone who grows close to us, who loves us, they are hunted." Ethan's brow furrowed. "So, anyone who cares for you is at risk?" Leora nodded, her hands trembling slightly. "Yes. I have tried to stay away from everyone. That is why I have always been alone. I thought loneliness was better than seeing those I care for die." Ethan leaned back, thinking. "But you didn't stay alone, did you? You ended up in that pod. Someone attacked you?" She hesitated, her gaze dropping. "Yes. The heralds. They still hunt my line. Even now, they are coming. I do not know when, but I can feel it. They sense those who care for me." Ethan's heart tightened. "Then we need to prepare. We can't just wait for them to come. There has to be a way to fight back." Leora shook her head quickly. "No. It is not that simple. The heralds are not like any enemy you know. They do not use normal weapons. They are shadows. They can strike from a distance. They know fear. They can sense attachment. If we try to fight them directly, both of us will die." Ethan studied her face. "Then we find another way. We run, we hide. Or we learn to fight their kind of attack. There is always a way." Her eyes widened slightly. Humans were strange. They never gave up, even when the odds seemed impossible. You do not understand. My people, they have always believed humans are weak, emotional, fragile. You are." She stopped, trying to find the right words. "Different. I do not know why I feel this, but I feel safer with you than anyone else." "Oh." Ethan gave a small smile. "Then we face it together. I will not leave you." The next day, a faint tremor passed through the station. Ethan was outside checking the shield arrays when a warning light flashed across his visor. Multiple ships, sleek and black, appeared on the radar. They were silent, moving fast. But their trajectory was toward the station. Leora's voice came over the intercom, calm but tense. "They are here. The heralds have found me." Ethan returned quickly, guiding her to the observation deck. Outside, he could see the ships. Their shapes were unfamiliar, sharp, and almost liquid in appearance, glinting faintly in the starlight. "Ethan, we cannot fight them here," Leora whispered. "We are not staying," Ethan said firmly. "We leave now." The two moved to the shuttle bay, working quickly. Ethan helped Leora into the small craft, strapping her in carefully. "Hold on," he said. He activated the engines, and the shuttle lifted off, just as the first black ships fired a warning beam at the station. Ethan maneuvered carefully, dodging the streaks of energy. Leora watched silently, gripping the edge of her seat. She wanted to fear, wanted to panic, but something about Ethan's calm determination made her feel a little safer. "Where do we go?" she asked. Ethan looked at the star charts. There is a hidden planet nearby. No one lives there. It is a safe place to think, to plan. Leora nodded. The old guardian lives there. Perhaps he can help. He knows the ways of the curse. Ethan's curiosity grew. A guardian? What does he do? He knows secrets that even my empire does not know, Leora said. He has the knowledge of the curse. Perhaps he can teach us how to resist the heralds. The shuttle moved fast, weaving through asteroid fields to avoid the tracking ships. The journey was tense. Every time the black shapes appeared on the radar, Leora flinched. But Ethan remained steady, guiding the craft with precision and care. When they finally reached the hidden planet, it was dark and covered with thick forests. No cities, no settlements, only mountains and trees that shimmered slightly under the twin moons. Ethan landed carefully near a clearing. Leora looked around, taking a deep breath of the alien air. "This is beautiful," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan smiled. Sometimes the quiet places are the safest. The forest was alive with faint lights. They followed a winding path that led them to a small temple built into the side of a cliff. The structure was old, covered in vines, and seemed almost forgotten by time. An old figure emerged from the shadows as they approached. He was small, with wrinkled skin and bright eyes that seemed to look into their souls. "I have been expecting you, Princess," he said, his voice calm and knowing. Leora bowed slightly. "Guardian, thank you for allowing me to visit." The old man nodded, then turned to Ethan. "And you are the human who would face the curse with her?" Ethan stood tall. "Yes, I do not care about the curse. I will not leave her side." The guardian studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well. But know this. The curse is not broken easily. It is bound to fear, to attachment, to the choices of those who care. If you wish to stand against it, you must understand it. You must face it together, with courage beyond your species' usual limits." Ethan nodded without fear. "I am ready." The guardian gestured for them to follow. Inside the temple, ancient symbols covered the walls. Strange devices hummed faintly, reacting to Leora's presence. She explained that these devices were made by her ancestors to contain and study the curse. "You will need to learn to resist it," the guardian said. "Not with weapons, not with shields, but with the mind and the heart. Your bond, your feelings, are powerful tools. The heralds cannot predict them, cannot control them, but you must train, or they will strike and destroy all that you hold dear." Ethan looked at Leora. "We can do this," he said simply. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he could not possibly understand. But she did not. Something in his words, in his steady gaze, made her believe him. For the next several days, they trained. Ethan learned to quiet his mind, to focus his energy, to feel Leora's presence without fear or doubt. Leora guided him through alien techniques, showing him how to detect the subtle shifts of the herald's influence. At first, it was difficult. Ethan would falter, overwhelmed by fear or frustration. But each time, Leora encouraged him, her voice soft, but firm. "Do not give up, human. You are stronger than you think. Trust yourself. And trust me." Ethan smiled at her words. "I do. I trust you." One night, as they rested, Leora whispered, her voice barely audible. "Ethan, I never thought I would feel this way. I should push you away. But I care for you more than I should." Ethan took her hand gently. "And I care for you. That is why we will face this together. No matter what comes, we stand side by side." For the first time, Leora allowed herself to feel hope. The curse, the heralds, the danger, it was all real. But so was the courage of the human beside her. The silence of the forest outside the temple felt safe, almost like a promise. Ethan and Leora would not run forever. They would learn, they would fight, and perhaps, together, They could change the fate that the universe had tried to force upon her. And somewhere in the distance, the black ships of the Void Heralds moved silently, closing in. But inside the temple, a human and a cursed alien princess prepared to rewrite destiny together. The hidden planet was quiet. Almost too quiet. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting a pale light over the forest. Inside the old temple, Ethan and Leora trained daily. The exercises were strange and difficult, mixing physical movement with mental focus. Ethan had never imagined that training could be this exhausting, but he refused to give up. Every day, he reminded himself that Leora's life, and perhaps the lives of many others, depended on his courage. Leora watched him closely. She admired his determination, but fear never left her eyes. "Ethan," she said one evening, her voice soft, "you are pushing yourself too hard. If you falter, the heralds will strike, and it may not be enough to save either of us." Ethan smiled faintly, wiping sweat from his brow. "Then I push harder. You have trained me to trust my own strength, and I trust you. That is all I need." Her lips trembled, and for a moment, she almost laughed at his stubbornness. Humans were strange, so simple and bold. And yet they carried courage that most of her people could not understand. She wanted to pull back, to remind him of the danger. But she could not. The bond between them had grown stronger than either of them realized. Days later, the first attack came. Ethan and Leora were practicing deep focus when the temple sensors shivered. The air vibrated faintly, a sign Leora recognized immediately. "They are here," she whispered. "The heralds have found us faster than I expected." Ethan stood, steady and calm. "Then we fight. Or at least, we stand our ground." Leora shook her head. "We cannot fight them with weapons. They will see our attacks before we make them. We must use what you have learned. Focus. Feel them coming." Ethan closed his eyes and let the lessons guide him. He reached for the strange energy inside himself. The bond he shared with Leora. He sensed a shadow moving in the forest. Sleek and fast. The heralds were not like normal enemies, they moved almost as if they were part of the darkness itself. "They are near," Leora said. Her hands glowed faintly as she guided the energy around them. "You can feel them now, can't you?" "Yes," Ethan said, breathing evenly. "I feel their intent. But they cannot predict us." The first herald struck without warning. It moved like liquid, flowing through the trees, closing on the temple. Ethan reached out, focusing on the bond between him and Leora. A strange, soft light formed around them, a protective energy that pushed the shadow back. Leora's eyes widened. "It works. Your courage. It amplifies the bond. The heralds cannot predict human bravery." The attack continued. Shadows moved faster, circling the temple. Ethan and Leora moved together, their energy forming a shield that flickered with every strike. The heralds hissed, a sound that scraped against their minds, trying to sow fear. Ethan's heart pounded, but he did not give in. Leora whispered encouragements, guiding him, teaching him to focus not on the shadows, but on the connection between them. "Do not think of fear. Think of hope, of trust, of us." Ethan's strength grew with every word. He felt something awaken inside him, something humans carried in abundance but aliens often did not. Relentless hope. With it, their bond became a weapon of light, pushing the shadows back. After what felt like hours, the heralds retreated. The forest grew quiet again, the energy around the temple fading to a soft glow. Ethan leaned against a wall, breathing heavily. "They will come back," he said. Leora nodded, her eyes tired but shining. "Yes. And next time, they will be stronger. But you have learned quickly. Faster than I thought possible." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then we keep learning. We keep training. I will not let them win." That night, Leora could not sleep. She sat by the temple's window, staring at the moons. Ethan noticed her, and without a word, He sat beside her. She flinched slightly at his closeness, but did not pull away. "Do you think we will survive?" she asked quietly. Ethan took her hand gently. "I do. As long as we trust each other. As long as we stand together. We will survive. We may get hurt. We may face losses. But we will face it. Side by side." She wanted to believe him, but fear twisted inside her. I should push you away. I should make you leave. The curse. It does not forgive care. I could lose you. And it would be my fault." Ethan shook his head. "No, you do not get to decide that alone. We face this together. That is the only choice that matters." Her lips trembled, and she let out a small sigh. "You are brave. More than I imagined. Humans, they are strange." Ethan smiled. "We are simple. But sometimes simple is enough." The next day, they resumed training. The attacks of the heralds had shown them the power of their bond, but also the limits. Ethan struggled to maintain focus under the pressure of the shadows. Leora guided him, but the strain was obvious. Sweat dripped down his face as he pushed himself, reaching deeper into the energy that connected them. "You are holding back," Leora said firmly. "Fear is in your heart. Let it go. Trust me. Trust us. We trust us." Ethan closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and felt the bond fully. A warm light spread through him, filling every doubt. When he opened his eyes, he was ready. Together, they moved as one, and the shadows that appeared that day recoiled before they could strike. For the first time, Leora felt a spark of hope she had not dared to imagine. You are more than I expected," she whispered. "Perhaps humans are capable of more than my people believe." Ethan laughed softly. "We have courage, and we have hearts that do not give up." Over the following weeks, they prepared for more attacks. Leora taught Ethan advanced techniques, ways to sense the herald's movements before they happened. Ethan learned quickly, using human instinct and his bond with Leora to anticipate their strikes. Every day, their trust deepened. One night, as they rested after training, Leora hesitated. She looked at Ethan, her eyes reflecting the twin moons. "Ethan, I feel something I cannot stop. I care for you, more than I should. But the curse, it is still there. I fear what it will do to you." Ethan took her hand, holding it gently. "I know, and I accept it. You are worth any risk. I will not turn away from you. Leora, not now. Not ever." Tears filled her eyes, and she whispered, almost in disbelief, You are human. You do not understand the danger. Yet, you do not care." "I care," he said simply. "That is why we will survive. That is why I am here." The next day, the heralds returned, more numerous and aggressive. Ethan and Leora moved together, their bond forming a shield of light that deflected the first strikes. The shadows writhed, trying to break their focus, trying to sow fear. Ethan's heart pounded, but he did not falter. Leora guided him, her voice steady, her energy flowing with his. The battle lasted for hours. Each strike from the heralds tested their bond, trying to separate them, to weaken their courage. But with every attack, Ethan's human determination grew stronger. He realized that the heralds could not predict human hope, human stubbornness, human love. Finally, the shadows recoiled, retreating into the darkness from which they came. Ethan and Leora collapsed to the ground, exhausted but alive. She looked at him, awe in her eyes. You saved us. Not just with skill, but with courage. With your heart." Ethan smiled faintly, wiping sweat from his brow. "And you guided me. Without you, I would not have known how to fight. We are stronger together." Leora's lips trembled. "Perhaps humans are not so weak after all." Perhaps love is not always dangerous. Perhaps it can be a weapon against fear itself. Ethan nodded. It is, and I will use it to protect you. Always. As they rested, Leora leaned against him, letting herself feel something she had not felt in centuries. Trust, hope, and the faint stirrings of love. The curse still existed, and the heralds would return. But for the first time, she felt that they had a chance to survive. Together, and in the quiet forest of the hidden planet, a human and a cursed alien princess prepared to face the universe. Side by side, with courage stronger than any curse.